Hey friend, my name is Heather and I'm from Nashville. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm really blessed to have my mom and older sister Brittany. They surrounded me with care and love since I can remember. I felt like a little princess when Mom braided my long, unruly hair. She told me that I looked like Rapunzel, and her words made me feel like the most beautiful girl in the state. And my sister was always hugging me tightly and spinning me around and round, holding my hands. And she also loved to dress me up in my little dresses, like I was her big living doll. But unfortunately, not everything was so smooth. Dad didn't fit into this perfect picture. He was always angry with me. He could pick at any little thing and bring me to tears. According to him, I chewed too loudly at the table and spoiled the appetite for other family members. Also, I looked like a shaggy mess, and it was embarrassing to leave the house with me. I tried my best to become better and earn his love, but all this time I felt like I was hitting a wall of Dad's lack of understanding, annoyance, and inexplicable anger towards me. Once, Dad brought literally a mountain of sweets from a business trip. At the sight of all these yummies, my mouth watered and my eyes lit up, but Dad's cold voice cooled my ardor. Such gifts are usually given to good girls like Brittany. And messy slobs, you, Heather, should go clean their room and do their homework. And don't even dream of sweets. Your appearance and academic performance are a disgrace to our family, Dad said. I couldn't hold my tears back and I ran to my room. Why is it like this, I thought, burying myself in a pillow wet from my tears. Why is Dad so unfair to me and never notices how hard I try? He probably doesn't love me. A real home tyrant. These sad thoughts were interrupted by Brittany, who secretly sneaked into my room and gave me all her sweets. She wiped away my tears and stayed with me that night, and we ate delicious treats under the covers and chatted about everything in the world until morning. She managed to dispel my gloomy thoughts, and I believed that everything would be fine. I'm so blessed to have a sister like her. Once my mom went away for a couple of days to visit my grandparents in a neighboring town. I tried to braid my long hair before school on my own, but I just messed it up. Then I asked my dad to help me, but I received a very harsh and unpleasant answer to my request. Heather, you're not a baby anymore, and you have to take care of yourself. Your mother has spoiled you. You need more strictness. I'm not your babysitter, and definitely not your hairdresser. I'm late for work, and I don't care what you do with your hair. You can shave your head. I couldn't care less. I was so upset that if it wasn't for Brittany, I would definitely have burst into tears. She calmed me down and tried to help, but it only got worse. After her attempts to fix my hair, it looked like a bird's nest. Then I put on a hat and went to school like that. I didn't have time to think of anything else. Seeing me in a hat, other children at school were whispering and giving me strange looks. Some looked with suspicion, and others with unhealthy curiosity. And one unpleasant girl named Ella ran up to me and snatched off the hat that was covering all the horror on my head. It was such a nightmare. I became a laughingstock of the entire school. Even the first graders made fun of me, pointed at me and called me a shaggy monster. At some point, I just couldn't stand it anymore. I ran to the toilet and cut my hair off almost at the very roots. Indeed, Dad was right. After the haircut, I looked like a real mess. And when I came out of the toilet, I became a school celebrity in the most depressing sense possible. To other children, they couldn't help but laugh. And Ella followed me everywhere, attracting everyone's attention to me and calling me a bald freak. I don't know how that day would have ended, but in the moment of the most terrible despair, Brittany showed up. She put all my offenders in their place and even slapped Ella in the face in front of everyone. For this, my sister was called to the principal's office and given a week of detention. On this nightmarish day, Mom picked us up from school, and she managed to return by that time. When she saw what my beautiful hair had become, she got terribly angry. After we got home, she threw a grandiose scandal. She believed that Dad was the one to blame for everything because he didn't help me with my hair in the morning. Parents asked us to leave the kitchen, where they were sorting things out all night. But even in our rooms, Brittany and I could hear them breaking dishes and loudly yelling. The next day, shocking news awaited my sister and I. Mom and Dad had decided to get a divorce. Naturally, I stayed with my mom and hoped that my beloved Brittany wouldn't leave us. But my hopes were not destined to come true. Heather, I can't leave Dad all alone. I'll go with him. It hurts me a lot to think that we have to part, but I don't see any other solution. Yeah, Dad looks indifferent, like he doesn't care, But in reality, I know how hard it all hit him and knocked him down, Brittany told me. Literally, the next morning, my dad and my sister flew to another state and stopped communicating. Mom and I didn't know their address or even their phone number. Parting with Brittany was a real tragedy, which was very hard for me to go through. I missed her so much that I didn't leave my room and cried bitterly for several days. But as they say, time heals, and the years flew by, and I went to high school. During this time, I grew my unruly hair back and got into volleyball. I became a team captain, spent all my time training, and participated in competitions. Sports filled my life with meaning. My rival and worst enemy was that same Ella that Brittany protected me from as a child. Ella was also into volleyball and wanted to take my place as captain. She was waiting for me to slip up somehow. But I learned not to react to her intrigues and let the evil jokes fall on deaf ears. I understood that since such poison is pouring out of this girl, it means that she's poisoning, first of all, her own life. At the next competition, our team competed with a very strong opponent, a school team from a neighboring district. The fight was so hot that I forgot about everything in the world and fought like a lioness. In the midst of the game, I miscalculated the trajectory of the ball, and it flew outside the field, right into the audience. And hit of terrible force fell on the head of a handsome guy who almost lost consciousness. He was taken away by the school doctor. I was very worried about the victim, and after the game, I immediately went to the hospital to visit him. The guy's name was Chet. He studied in the neighboring area. We just played with the team from his school. Because of my bad pass, he got a concussion. I was terribly ashamed that I caused such a serious injury, and during my visit, I apologized several times for what happened. Heather, don't worry about it. I'm already getting back to normal. Moreover, I'm happy that thanks to this injury, I met such an unusual and beautiful girl like you. And if I could turn back time, I wouldn't change a thing. I'd really like to see you more often. I'm ready to get another concussion if I have to. We could do it again sometime, Chet said, laughing awkwardly. We exchanged phone numbers and started calling each other from time to time. And one time, Chet asked me out for a date. Yeah, that's right, you guessed it. Chet became my boyfriend, and I fell madly in love with him. One day he invited me to his house for his birthday party. I was so excited. My mom and I bought me a stunning dress because it's not every day your boyfriend turns 17. I looked amazing, of course. When Chet saw me, he went into suspended animation and couldn't take his eyes off me. And then he said that meeting me was the most important gift and a super prize in his life. I was euphoric and thought that this party was going to be mega cool. But sometimes things don't go as planned. Among the guests, I saw Ella. She turned out to be Chet's sister. Can you imagine my shock? Of all the people on the planet, my boyfriend's sister was the one girl I couldn't stand. So it turned out that Chet came to our school on the day we met to support his sister during the game. I tried to ease the tension between Ella and I, but she couldn't hide her attitude towards me even for her brother. And when Chet was passing me a slice of pizza, Ella seemed to accidentally push me, and all the greasy ingredients ended up on my new dress. At that moment, I felt something snap inside me, and I just blew up. I pounced on Ella and grabbed her hair. To everyone else, it looked like I was completely inadequate and attacked an innocent person. Heather, you're crazy! Get yourself together! Chet yelled, pulling me away from Ella, who was playing the victim and crying in front of everyone. With pizza all over me and my boyfriend's family and friends staring at me, I felt like a complete idiot. I cried and ran home. Chet didn't even try to stop and bring me back. Though the next day he waited for me near the school and apologized for not figuring out at once and not supporting me in a conflict situation. Of course, I forgave my beloved boyfriend, and everything went back to normal. Once leaving a class, I felt someone looking at me. I turned around and I saw Brittany. My sister had grown up so much and turned into a beautiful girl. I wanted to throw my arms around her neck, but something in her spiky gaze stopped me. Brittany, wow! Sister, what a joy to see you again. How are you? How's Dad? We have so much to tell each other, I exclaimed joyfully. For you, it's Brittany, not Brittany. You are no longer my sister, and don't you dare talk to me or even approach me for no good reason. This is my first and final warning. Next time I won't be this kind, Brittany said in an icy tone and walked away. As it turned out later, my sister and my dad returned to the city, and Brittany was going to graduate at our school. She quickly became the most popular girl there, and everyone wanted to be friends with her, even the arrogant Ella, with whom she was now pleasantly chatting at recess. Brittany didn't even look in my direction. She was just walking past me. One day I decided to follow her and found out where she and Dad lived. And when I saw my dad's familiar silhouette in the window, I began to yell loudly and call him by his name. He noticed me, smiled, and waved in confusion. But then Brittany ran out of the house, attacked me like a fury, and dragged me aside. "Don't you dare come here. You don't know the whole truth. Mom and Dad divorced because of you, and you're the only cause of all my misfortunes," Brittany hissed angrily. She said that I wasn't my dad's daughter. Mom fell in love with another man and left the family. Later, when that man dumped her, she came back to Dad, unhappy and pregnant with another man's baby. Dad took her back but couldn't fully forgive her such betrayal. Everything immediately fell into place. So that's why my dad hated me as a child. I was a living testimony to Mom's betrayal. The next day, I saw Brittany and Ella discussing something outside the school. When Ella noticed me, she made a terrible face. "Brittany, look at that shaggy freak, the ugliest girl in school. Her face could really use some Photoshop. I don't understand what my handsome brother found in such a monster." Ella asked my sister mockingly, and Brittany smiled indifferently in response, and didn't even look in my direction. She was colder than Arctic ice. At that moment, I experienced such pain, as if my heart was shattered into a million pieces. It wasn't even about what Chet's sister had said about me. It was Brittany's reaction. I couldn't contain my emotions, and in the heat of passion, I attacked Ella. She and I fell to the ground and rolled over head over heels. Ella was bigger and physically stronger, and after a moment, she grabbed my hair and dipped my face in the mud. A support group gathered around. Everyone was betting on Ella, but then I felt that the grip had loosened and no one was holding me anymore. Turning around, I saw Brittany grab Chet's sister and drag her aside. "Don't you dare offend my sister!" Brittany explicitly and extremely clearly told Ella, and Ella was beside herself with horror and didn't understand what was happening. Not holding my tears back anymore, I rushed to Brittany and literally hung on her neck. She hugged me tightly and cried too. "My baby, I'm so stupid. You're so dear to me. When I saw you on the ground, it was like the veil had fallen from my eyes. You're not to blame for anything, but I really wronged you. I made a real mess. Heather, baby, forgive me," Brittany said through her tears. And since then, we've never parted.